Have you ever wondered how you ended up where you are, and then wished you could have a do-over? I wonder about that a lot these days. Like, how did my life end up taking a sharp right turn into the dumpster? How did I go from having a successful career, a wife, a nice house in the burbs, a family, and all the trappings of the American life, to an unemployed divorcee living in a one-bedroom apartment existing on a dwindling 401k? What I had left over after the divorce should have been plenty, but I lost most of it gambling on a real estate investment that tanked. I look over at the picture of my kids on the dresser. My wife took it during a camping trip in the Adirondacks 2 years before we split. It was late September, and the trees were turning golden orange under a bright blue sky across the lake. Crystal and Ted are sitting on the dock in front of our rental cabin, with their feet dangling in the water. 7th Lake, I believe it was. These days, my memory doesn't serve me so well. Maybe it's because I'm trying to forget, to unlive the pain of losing everything because I wasn't paying attention to the things that mattered, like my wife and kids. Not to mention being an asshole when she finally had enough of being ignored and left me. I tried to convince myself I didn't deserve the raking over I got. It's not like I was cheating on her, unless you want to call spending all my time and energy on my job cheating. Although she doesn't say so, I know my daughter blames me too. Nothing mattered but my job. It was all about me, climbing up the ladder, being someone. Well, I'm nobody now. My son avoids talking about my fuck-up at all costs. To be honest, so do I, but every now and then, like right now, I go there. It hardly seems possible Tiffany walked out on me 3 years ago. That was the beginning of my life going off the rails. I finished my first cup of coffee and set it in the sink. I have an interview this afternoon at a small architectural firm specializing in historical renovations, which is a far cry from the multidisciplinary firm where I led 20 architects and interns in the architectural healthcare division. The pay I'm looking at with this little firm is also a quarter of what I made 2 years ago. In other words, I'm scraping near the bottom and the prospective employers know it. It's an odd thing being overqualified in the job market. People are suspicious of why you're looking at them for employment. What happened, Mr. Big-Time Architect, that you're suddenly on the market? And why in God's name are you looking at us? How do you answer that without looking desperate? What's more, how do you frame being let go because of a downturn in healthcare expansion, when the truth is you were let go because you got too big for your shoes, thinking you were indispensable? It's a tricky balancing act getting around all that, and one I'm running out of time learning how to do. Well, I better figure it out quick. I grab my shower and throw a pair of slacks and a cream-colored sweater on the bed. Not too dressy. I don't want to look like F. Lee Bailey heading to court. On the other hand, I don't want to give the impression I'm Steve Jobs strutting in with a cavalier attitude either. I tilt my head back and forth, debating on a button-down shirt, and then decide to stay with my first choice. Another thing I'm debating is getting out of the apartment and heading across town for coffee and breakfast with a couple of regulars before running my errands. Be with people and take the edge off things. I'd planned on skipping that today because of the interview, but maybe it wouldn't be such a bad idea after all. A half hour later, I'm locking up. It's a cool September morning, but the sun is out and the weatherman calls for a high in the mid-70s. I hoof it across the lot to my late model Chevy Cruze. It's not a bad car for a blue-collar worker, but it doesn't work for me. I'm a Lexus guy, Corinthian leather and style, but the Cruze is what I'm stuck with. Yeah, I know, poor old me. What's worse is it needs a set of tires I don't have the money for right now. I throw my laptop in the front seat, fold myself into a pretzel, and get in. I'm a good-sized guy these days, and I can stand to lose 20 or 30 pounds. If I don't find a job pretty soon, I might end up doing it the hard way. I should probably stop smoking, too. I'd quit after I got married to Tiffany, then, like an idiot, I took it back up after the split. Lighting up, I bring the window down, and I'm off with the radio humming.